Let's not have a conversation about Vision 2060. Let's start with food security.
Yes.
You are telling people who are not sure of the next meal about 2060. What's wrong with your head? Kwanza implement ile machine ya chapati, 1 million chapatis.
Even the Chinese.
Then make sure gas is available. Make sure that SHA is working. I have seen 1.2 billion on the Nation newspaper front page. It was stolen from us in SHA. Make sure that the people are able to educate their children. You cannot reach 2060 with people who are dimwits. If our children can't afford to go to school, you've seen the number of children who are at home now who are not able to transition to grade 10. And then you're telling them about Vision 2060. Kwani wataenda 2060 wakiwa illiterate? So make sure that all these things that are fundamental to Kenyans now, the basics, let's get them right. Food as a country. If we are not food secure, let's not talk about Vision 2060. The first thing the countries that get there do is they make sure that their countries are food secure. Then let's make sure that we can be able to have enough education for our people. Then once we have those, then make sure we have security. You can't kill people and send balaclava people to them, and then people who are insecure and are not sure of seeing tomorrow are being told about Vision 2060. So forget that nonsense. It's not going to work for this country. The most important things are getting the fundamentals right. If we do not have access to clean drinking water and people are dying of cholera and typhoid and kipindupindu, why are you telling them about Vision 2060? So let's get the dams, let's get the water flowing into the taps. Let's get the fundamentals right. Once you have the fundamentals right, then you go on. I saw affordable houses that were being built in Isiolo. Literally, the tarmac has to locate where those houses are. And then you look at the sparse population and you wonder, why these houses are priority for people who do not have drinking water, for example. So you go to Funyula, the same thing when they were fighting with Sifuna. You have a president who is telling you about things that don't make sense now. Because when you go to Funyula, such a sparsely populated place, nyumba moja iko hapa, ingine pale, ingine pale, ingine pale. Their biggest problem is water. They come there and they build houses and guys are wondering, nani ataenda kuishi huko juu kwa gorofa? Na sisi wenyewe hatuna maji. Shida yetu sio shamba, shida yetu sio land. So the priorities are upside down. The president needs to come and ask himself, why am I starting from the wrong footing?
Na mimi kuna kwanza na ile swali naulizwanga, what do you want to be in 5 years time? Nina kwanza swali ngumu because some of us do not know where we will be next week.
The correct answer is I'll be seated where you are. Yes. And you'll be seated where I am.
Yes. But having a vision is what's something that is bad. You know, when we attend independence, Nick, we were told that tulikuwa tunapigana na ujinga, ugonjwa na umaskini.
Yes.
I think those were the main three things that President Kenyatta Jomo started out fighting. Have we eradicated diseases? No. To eradicate ujinga to a larger scale, but people are still struggling to go to school. To go to school. To eradicate ilikuwa umaskini? No, we haven't. We are still a poor country, a developing country. If you want to not use the word poor, a developing country. So even the vision that we started out with in 1963, we have not achieved it. But I don't see anything wrong with having a vision and saying in 2060 we are going to be here. This is where we anticipate to be. But if we do not put in the work, if we do not do whatever that we set out to do, we are not going to be there. We've not been there in 2030. What we set out to achieve in 2030, we have not achieved them. A lot of the things that we set out to achieve in 2030, we have not achieved them. And so, however much you have the plans, if we do not put in the work, if we do not deal with the fundamentals, like Fanya Mambo is saying, you cannot be telling a person who does not know what is going to eat tomorrow about 2060. You can't tell a person whose kid is not going to school tomorrow about 2060. They will dismiss you. And so President William Ruto, in as much as it's okay to talk about 2060, he must be talking about now. What are we going to do now so that we reach in 2060?
It's a governance problem. It's a management problem. Sisi hatuna shida ya vision. President should not give us vision. When you look at the Daily Nation on page 2, Duale is there on TV telling us that drugs worth 5.3 billion expired in government stores. Yani unaenda hospitali Kiambu level 5. Unaenda hospitali yote ya gava hata Kenyatta, hakuna dawa. Sasa hizo dawa zimefungiwa KEMSA, zina rot, zina expire, drugs worth 5.3 billion. And that minister is in office. And he comes and speaks to Kenyans and he tells them hizo drugs zili expire zikiwa kwa store. That is the problem we are having in this country.
Although he says over the last 5 years, starting from
it doesn't matter
of anticipation of some.
No. The thing is, regardless of whether this happened over COVID, and because some of them have happened, in fact, they are saying the biggest one, 2.4 billion, was recorded in 2022-2023. So here we are. So these drugs are expiring in stores. They were bought by your money and mine, and we are going, and you know, heads are not rolling. So even coming up with another vision of going to say that we are going to look for money to buy more drugs, we are going to expand our capacity to have drugs and so on and so forth,
yes,
is a useless thing if we can't simply manage what we have. I think what we need is better managers of our economy. We just need better managers in health, better managers in every sector, in education, in every other sector. If we just manage this place right, let me tell you, some of the people in the corporate sector, if today they were removed from the corporate sector and they were taken to government offices and they were told, bring the efficiency of the corporate sector into government space, you wouldn't need those Vision 2060s of his. You go to a customer care of any company today, good morning Nick, how are you, how can I assist you? You go to a public service office, umekuja, shida yako nini, kaeni pale mungoje mtahudumiwa, and that's the attitude. So before we speak Vision 2060, before we speak anything else, let us ask ourselves, how are we managing what we have?
We have changed governments before. You know, we were Kenyatta one, we were with Moi, we were with Kibaki, we were with Uhuru, now we have Ruto. What is changing? What has changed? Because at times you feel like as a voter that it's just the same monkeys, same people. If
like when you see this new coalition attempt,
if Fanya Mambo goes in, before he goes in, will be talking very big things and trying to inspire hope. But once he gets in, things never change.
They will.
People asking, if Sifuna comes in, for example,
do you believe when he says it will?
They will.
They all say that. President William Ruto said those things before he went into power. He was saying, never again will we use justice system to do politics. He was saying, never again will we be killing our children when they are going to the streets. He was saying, never again I will be very strict that there will be no coin to steal.
I remember the one that caught my heart and my attention.
Yes.
All children, when they enter grade 1, will get a laptop.
Yes.
I looked at the TV while standing. I said, yes, this is the
we were told,
that's how many years ago?
We were told that when our mothers or our wives sire, we are going to get Pampers for 6 months. We were told all those things. And you know, that's the problem we have.
Anyway,
that's the problem we have with politicians. And sometimes you understand when a Kenyan says he has lost hope, he doesn't want even to go and vote, because the more things change, the more they remain the same. Everything that President William Ruto was saying that is never going to happen in his government are happening. We are seeing grand corruption, 1.2 billion share money gone to a company where you don't know what they do. You know,
is there any explanation? Has anyone been asked the hard question?
There's no explanation, and even if they try to the more they explain, the worse it looks. And so
combine that 5.3 is mentioned about the drugs plus 1.2.
And that's just Ministry of Health.
That's Mayor Health too. And so it like Fanya Mambo said, it's all about governance. If we can just get the right people in governance, in government, and try to do the right thing, try to fight corruption, just try to do the bare minimum, because as a country, Nick, we have money. Kama ingekuwa ni nchi zingine, this grand looting that is happening, tungekuwa tusha collapse, but somehow we survive. Tunafuliza 3.5 billion kila siku, but we are surviving. Because you saw yesterday's headline in the Nation that we are borrowing 3.5 billion shillings daily. It's a borrowing spree. We are just sinking the hole deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. By 2060, labda tutakuwa tuna borrow 10 billion daily.
Per day.
Yes.
You know, people tend to think that we only complain but never provide solutions. This is the first thing we have always told people. That there are two things. On the left hand, we have something called a budget. And on the right hand, we have something called a finance bill.
Yes.
Kenyans are always fighting about the finance bill. We never want to have a conversation about the budget. The finance bill tells us how we are going to raise money to finance what we created, which is called a budget. Now, in this budget, we allocated 17 billion for State House. We allocated 8 million shillings for Kindiki per day to fly in helicopters. We allocated pesa ya maharagwe. We allocated money for CSS, a PS, anaitwa permanent secretary ama ni principal secretary. Anabebwa na gari inaitwa Land Cruiser Prado Elsing 250. That car is 25 million shillings. So what we've done is we've budgeted for wastefulness. And then now we are coming with a crazy finance bill to help us raise money for wastefulness. So if we go to parliament, and we will, God willing, next year, is to start saying, wait a minute, hiyo item ya 8 million ya DP ya kufly per day itolewe. 17 billion ya State House per year itolewe. 89 billion for president to travel within 3 years itolewe. He cannot travel at 89 billion. He's the most traveled president in the world. Ayeko kwa Guinness Book of World Records. Itolewe. So once we start removing the wastefulness, instead of having a budget of 4.2 trillion and then you want to borrow 3.5 billion per day, you will have a useful, nice budget of 3.5 trillion. And therefore, first we have reduced our borrowing. So the problem we are having is not the finance bill. I keep telling Kenyans, the problem we are having is the budget, that we have budgeted for things. Let me tell you, this biro to you and me is 20 shillings. To government, hii biro huwa na supply huwa na 100 ama 200 bob. They are the only guys who don't know that they can acquire this biro for 20 shillings. So if we remove the wastefulness before we talk about anything else, we shall be able to save this country a lot of money. And also finally, we're doing something called application for tenders, and I know pre-qualification. Pre-qualification of who? Suppliers. So when you get a supplier, for example, called Fanya Mambo, he looks for the cheapest supplier, which is probably China, and I end up buying t-shirts that would have been printed in Kenya, in China, to deliver to a government ministry. So if we change that game and start saying we are pre-qualifying manufacturers, kama ni cooking oil ya jeshi, wewe ukiwa manufacturer, be pre-qualified. Kama ni biro, wewe ukiwa manufacturer, be pre-qualified. It will encourage manufacturing, and it will encourage a situation where I know I can manufacture my goods and I can sell directly to government without there being brokers, and
create more employment,
and so on and so forth. So there are many things we shall change when we get to parliament, and these are just highlights of them.
I actually agree with Fanya Mambo that the biggest issue is the expenditure. We are overspending most of the time, and this budget, actually 70% of, if you are getting 100 bob, 70 bob is going to pay debts. So we are remaining with 30 bob, which we should do development, pay salaries, and buy mandazi and newspapers in the government offices,
and set up tents
and do empowerment. And so it becomes very difficult, and that's why you see government also now digging deeper and spending borrowing 3.5 billion per day, because what we remain with after paying the debt, it cannot sustain running of the government, and that's why you see the borrowing that is happening. And I agree with Fanya Mambo that if we just spend according to what we have, we will be better. But we tunalive with the life ya grandiose. Ulizoesha watoto kukaa Karen, sasa you are trying to maintain that level, lakini your salary imepunguka kwa sababu ya COVID, wamekata half, but you are still living in Karen, you still taking your kids to those international schools, you take your kids, but your salary does not agree with it. So what you do, you continue fulizing kila siku, unafuliza kila siku. You are sinking deeper and deeper and deeper into debt, and we are never going to go anywhere with such a kind of approach.
I think for me, when you look at what nurses are asking for in terms of how much money they are demanding from this government, you would realize that State House budget is enough to fund all our nurses. So again, it goes back to the wastefulness, that we have a loss-making output being given 17 billion, and all the nurses in this country are asking for much less. When lecturers went on strike some time back, they were looking for 7 billion. Akukua na 7 billion ya lecturers, but State House is gobbling 48 million shillings per day. So this is the nonsense that needs to be gotten rid of, that we need to get to a point when we ask ourselves, where are we putting our money? What is our money going into? Why do you have a deputy president being allocated 8 million shillings a day to fly helicopters all over the place?
And why do deputy presidents need to fly anyway to begin with?
So that is why, for me, I am saying we don't have a problem with nurses. Our nurses don't have, in fact, it is their right to go on strike. The problem we have is we have allocated our monies to the wrong places. When you look at what they call as confidential budgets for security and NIS to buy balaclavas to come and beat us up huko in Olkalau and every other place, that money is more than enough to pay our nurses, our doctors, and our lecturers. So let's not talk of a country that we are saying that we are spending money on paying debts. What we are not having a conversation about is, why are we not borrowing for State House, for example? Why do we? I heard the president one day tell the people of Nyamira, ati sasa mimi nikitoka hapa naenda Italy kuwatafutia 1 billion niwaletee nyinyi watu wa Nyamira ya kujenga hospitali. Yes, wait a minute. Mbona usitoe kwa State House budget? Like, why do we have to borrow for other people but we don't borrow for State House? So for me, and from where I sit, that we have allocated our resources in the wrong places. We took 104 billion and allocated it to a system called SHA, a system. Tulibai a system, a software tukakabaya 104 billion,
which can be made here, by the way.
Yeah, in fact, hata ungeuliza wale watu wali make software ina work kama ya Uber ama Bolt, you know, you ask how much this software costs, then you realize that the problem we have is a governance, is a greed problem, and some people who want to become richer than this nation. And again, people say we don't provide solutions. I think it's a high time we started asking ourselves, some of these big families we used to know that were very rich under Kenyatta, under Uhuru, under Kibaki, where are they? Where is their money? Why is our money lying in Swiss accounts? Why is our money lying in some ranches in Australia that Kenyans don't even benefit from? And why don't we have a conversation with those people before we go to borrow externally? We tell them, you come set up a hospital here, you know, come set up, help us build the Mau Summit Road. These monies are locked outside there. Do you know, by the way, the monies that we borrow are our own money? Because when we put money in Swiss accounts, what those Swiss accounts do, they give to lending firms. And those lending firms lend that money back to us at interest, and then they pay back. So all our money that was stolen by our forefathers and those greedy people who were there during Kenyatta, during Moi, during Kibaki, during Uhuru, those monies are stuck abroad. Why don't we find a way to have a conversation about that money? Because it is our money. And how do we bring it back? Some of those people, by the way, they want to bring that money back. Wamezeeka, sasa wanaona hii pesa itapotelea ngambo na haezi leta huku because of the anti-money laundering laws. Let's find a way to have a very uncomfortable conversation. There is trillions of our money stuck up abroad. How do we bring it back? How do we have a serious conversation and say, okay, there is money laundering, there's a way that we need to deal with it, but let's get that money here, let's stop borrowing money. So pesa iko. I think governors, please, can you stop taking us for a ride? You're the only people who want to tell us how much money you've not received from the national government, but you never want to tell us what you've done from your collections. I think we need to start saying we are going to match a shilling of what comes from your collected to what we give you from the national kitty. I know the constitution provides for at least 15% of what has been collected by the national government to go to the counties. But also, sometimes you look at what counties collect. Naambianga watu, there's a time Mutudo told us that Nairobi had over 20,000 bars. Pale sijui moja inako had about 1,000.
Huko watu wanakunywa daily. So Joshua Mashosh lives that side. Every 3 meters there's a bar.
When they did the total amount of money that were coming from revenues from bars only, it was in excess of 400 million.
Yes.
In terms of licenses from bars only. 400 million is a lot of money when you think about it, going to just licenses from bars. So when you think about how many businesses we do have in Nairobi, that's why ulisikia kuna mtu alipatwa na 250 million, alafu immediately can become 65 million in a house, and that's a very junior officer at the city county. So you can imagine what the governors would have and people who are senior. What we are trying to say is, before they give us this kelele of theirs about that they are not receiving adequate revenue, I don't know, there's a fight between county governments and national governments. Let us be fair enough to say that our governors have stolen a lot of money, and the peoples in the counties have stolen a lot of money, and houses have been found with 250 million, and these ones have been raids that have happened over time. At a time ya Kidero, there was an accounting officer who used to earn a salary of 85,000 who was found with about 1 point something billion in his account, and he couldn't explain, and about some 400 million in cash or something. So let us not talk about this nurses issue as unajua ni kitu wanarushiana kama mpira. Let us be responsible. Counties are collecting a lot of money, but they are not using it well.
People are asking themselves, so what? Because it seems like we are just recycling these leaders.
Yes.
And you know, when there was that conversation when Aisha Jumwa joined Linda Mwananchi, and people were questioning the integrity of Aisha Jumwa joining Linda Mwananchi, because the aspiration was that this is a new beginning, this is a fresh start, that we are not going to recycle these leaders, and people are asking, so Kalonzo has been there for 40 years, so what can you say that he has done for this country that you can you have tried him so that you can give him the mandate and to lead? Munya, for example, has been there. What is there that you can say this is the achievement that Munya has done for the longest time, so that you can trust him with the leadership of the country. Isn't Aisha Jumwa a representation of what we don't want to get into, or what we are trying to run away from? Because, you know, it was just the other day she was singing Ruto, and then she now changes, now, just because she has joined Linda Mwananchi. Now she becomes a fresh politician. She now, her sins has been washed away. You know, such are the questions that people are asking themselves, because people are wondering, are we not just running from the frying pan to the fire?
In fact, as some records here show that this is her second exit from UDA in recent months. So you wonder, like you keep on, it's like a threat. Meantime, and then no one tells you.
So it's a quagmire even for Sifuna, Edwin Sifuna and the Linda Mwananchi group, because like Fanya Mambo says, there are people who are in ODM, there are people who are in Wiper, there are people who are in Jubilee who have been working with them together as Linda Mwananchi. Now, when the rubber meets the road and they say now we have formed a party called Linda Mwananchi, will Fanya Mambo leave DCP to join Linda Mwananchi? Will that politician who has been working with them from Wiper leave Wiper to go and join Linda Mwananchi? So it's going to be a very big problem for Sifuna.
I can answer that very easily.
Because you know, as a movement, you can invite everybody. Kawira Mwangaza can come despite having her party in Meru. But once you form that Linda Mwananchi party, now, who are going to be the members? Will Fanya Mambo leave DCP to go to Linda Mwananchi? I dare say not probably. So it's going to be a very big problem for them, and that's why I think there have been a delay in forming that party, because they don't know how the reaction is going to be. Because once you form Linda Mwananchi, Kimilu, who works with them, or Manzo, who works with them from Wiper, they are not going to leave their Wiper party to come and join Linda Mwananchi. So it's going to be a very big problem for them once they form that party, and we might start seeing problems. People leaving that outfit to go back to their parties.
What has Kalonzo not done? Because sometimes it's not just about what a leader has done, it's also about what a leader has not done. Kalonzo has not been known to steal. He has not been known to have cases of corruption. He has not been known to kill people. He has not been known to say wapigwe risasi ya mguu. He has not been known to lie to people. He has not been known to tell people nitawaletea mashini ya kuwatengeneza 1 million chapatis. He has not been known to launch a road from this side and come after 3 years and launch it from the other side with a green tractor because he launched with a yellow tractor on this side. So there are things Kalonzo has not been known for, and we celebrate him for that.
Yes.
He was deputy president. He had a chance to steal damn money. He has not been known for Aror. He has not been known for Kimwarer. He has not been known for sijasikia kitajwa kwa Yala, River Yala. Sijasikia. So sometimes we beat Kalonzo for what we think he has not done, but nobody wants to talk about what Kalonzo has refrained from doing. He was not known for importing rice 500,000 metric tons. He was not known for bringing a substandard fuel. So there are things Kalonzo hasn't done, and sometimes we tell people beyond what you do as a leader, there is what you refrain from doing. You know, if I become a leader and I refrain from bringing 500,000 metric tons of rice, do you know what I have done? I have supported Moya, which takes care of about 60,000 families. If I refrain from bringing sugar into this country, I have refrained from killing a sugar industry in Western that supports 400,000 lives. So the fact that Kalonzo was able to restrain himself from stealing and killing and maiming and throwing people in Rivayala and lying about a chapati making machine and launching roads that never happened, that's a good thing. Let me tell you. Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, the former president of Tanzania, the first one, at the time when he was coming to die, they decided, oh, look here, he has retired, let's build for him a beautiful home. And then let's start tarmacking the road to his house, because he had never tarmacked the road to his own house. Nyerere was about tarmacking the roads that meant well for Tanzanians. He thought that tarmacking a road between, for example, Dodoma and Arusha was more important than tarmacking the road to his own house. So by the time he was dying, there was no tarmac to his own house. By the time he was dying, Nyerere was not known to own tracts of land. So you are talking of comparing Kalonzo with people who own half of the country. They've stolen land from people, they've killed, they've done so many things. I think I celebrate him for what he has not done, more than what people would say he has done to the Grand Coalition. I think Uhuru Kenyatta is doing the right thing. Azimio has its owners. They've come together and they are saying the only registered political party that is a coalition political party in Kenya is Azimio. Actually, Parliament had to come back in 2021 to create Azimio because it was a creation of Parliament. It's not one of those things that existed before. So Azimio was born out of a parliamentary session that actually had to meet out of time to create the first and only coalition political party, which now becomes somewhere where DCP can join, all these other parties can join. I can speak authoritatively as a member of DCP and say, first, we did not attend this meeting. And the reason we did not attend is because as it is right now, DCP is not a member of Azimio. So they first met as members because ilikuwa members meeting.
Yes.
For them to put their house in order. Should they give us an invitation, we are willing to work together with them. We are willing to have a conversation. I have seen comments, and allow me to respond to one, someone telling me to join Linda Mwananchi. Let me tell you, I'm a founding member of Linda Mwananchi. Their first rally in Busia, I was there. But the only one thing people don't want to understand, Edwin Sifuna is in Linda Mwananchi as a member of ODM. Okay? Babu Owino comes into Linda Mwananchi as a member of ODM. Hajatoka ODM. When you see somebody like Senator Dan Maanzo, who always attends Linda Mwananchi, he comes as a senator from Wiper, but he joins Linda Mwananchi. My good friend Angel Mbuthia comes from Jubilee. She comes into Linda Mwananchi as a member of Jubilee. Please accept it that Fanya Mambo can be in Linda Mwananchi as a member of DCP. So we come as members of our parties. If Sifuna has not left ODM for Linda Mwananchi, Fanya Mambo is not going to leave DCP for Linda Mwananchi. I will continue to support them and work with them because we share the same ideals, but as a member of DCP.
Politicians are competing to mess up this country, and we must call them out, for Fanya Mambo included, if he tries to accommodate what Kagusha said. We heard yesterday what your Kerr said. Anaitwa Kerr who? Elder. The chairperson of the Elders Council of the Luo Elders Council, when he said that when you are going to, if you vote against the wishes of the Luo community, then they are going to point at you, they are going to curse you, and you are going to disappear. You know, such remarks are very dangerous remarks. And yes. And my only problem, I appreciate that the police had to arrest Kagusha. My only problem is that the police appear to be applying law selectively. That when a government allied politician says what he says, however inflammatory the remarks might be, he's not being arrested. Duale is trying to say hyenas instead of hyenas. Kagusha will come and say I was not saying under the bed, I was saying under something. So I think like I said, President William Ruto had promised us that never again will he use justice system to do politics. But once you are arresting an opposition leader, and we are not arresting a leader who is allied to government, then you are sending the wrong message. Actually, for now, they have made Kagusha even more popular in his constituency because
atachaguliwa asubuhi.
Yes.
And I want you to understand, all politics is local. And what determines which party you are going to join is not you, the politicians, most of the time. It's the people that you want to lead. When I went to Dagoretti South, they told me very clearly. In fact, walikuwa wananinusa. Wewe unuki wa Munyoro wewe. Mayaga ya unuki wa Munyoro. Eda urudi ukinuka wa Munyoro. So, you have to accept that the people you want to lead know where they want to go. And you have no choice but to do what the people. In 2022, I was told to join wheelbarrow. I told them, mimi haki ya nani, kitu ya yellow na wheelbarrow, sizi toshea ndani. I applied for an MCA seat. They told me, we like you so much, Fanya Mambo. Unfortunately,
and they like you based on what?
Atutaki Jubilee.
They liked you based on what?
They said I'm a good leader.
Yeah, what had you led?
You see, let me tell you, I had led myself well because some of the people I competed with were leading themselves badly and were doing a lot of bad manners that were known everywhere.
Yes.
So what you're trying to say is sometimes you don't have a choice but to listen to the electorate. And let me tell you, when you wake up and go against what the electorate tell you, most of the time they punish you. Kanini Kega had built 400 kilometers of tarmac in his place. You know, Kieni is a very big constituency. And he was I think second term MP, but he lost. Why? And they voted for a guy who actually has a problem even pronouncing some English words. But the reason they did that is because they wanted wheelbarrow. So for Linda Mwananchi, I'll tell you there are places when it will have a huge wave and there are places when it's not going to have the impact. Allow people to ask their electorate munataka nisimame na chama gani. There are certain words like we shall remove them from under the bed, we shall come for them because they voted for UDA,
which is insightful.
I wish to say as Fanya Mambo Kinuthia, let us not go that direction as a country.
And you know, for people
and
to
I
be
wish
arrested,
to be very clear,
when they send the police to capture you and take you, it's also a message, a subtle message to other future leaders who might try to take that attempt.
No. I wish to be very clear as Fanya Mambo on this one, that those people who want to vote for UDA or vote for DCP are allowed to do so. And then once you do that, you're allowed to enjoy your peace in this country. The only thing we can do is civic education and talk to our people and tell them of the dangers of voting for this administration. But let us not allow. And I remember when this MP who said that the president should not have said shoot in the leg, he should have said shoot to kill, Belgut MP, and people clapped for him. That was also a very terrible state of remarks. I mean, Duale called us mafisi, tumekubali sisi ni mafisi. I have not seen people in balaclavas coming for him.
He said Kikuyus are high earners.
Also, and this is fundamental for every Kenyan, it's the issue of court orders. When the court issues an order and says, you know, pay this amount of money as your cash bail, leave, appear in court the following morning. I think those court orders need to be well. Charles Kanjama, president of the Law Society of Kenya, kuna member wenyu wa Law Society of Kenya who is not behaving accordingly, is not respecting court orders. Do something. This is serious indiscipline from a member of the advocates. A member of the bar is misbehaving. Charles Kanjama, call them to order. Do something about it. It has to be done.
IBC, we had that bill, the amendment bill. They are proposing to delete something to do with the live streaming of the results. IBC chairperson has come out strongly and said that's not true. But we are waiting for the bill to then come to the house, and then when now we start debating it, then we will see what really is in that bill.
Where I sit, sisi tutalinda kura. Whether you're going to live stream or you're not going to live stream, tutamake sure ati zile zimekastiwa, tumehesabu, tumetangaza na hatujakubali ziibiwe. So whatever you do, hata vile mulisema, tutalinda kura.